Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So it looks like COVID 3.0 is upon us. The Omicron variant, as it has been dubbed by the World Health Organization, is out there now. It's a new variant. Apparently it's double as transmissible or double the spike proteins as Delta. So everything we've just seen for the last 6 months with the Delta variant, it's potentially going to be double as worse. So now the pieces look like they are falling into place for governments to reimpose draconian restrictions on people, to be locking them in their houses for months at a time. And for all the progress we've had in the last few months, getting people back to work, getting air travel and overseas travel back underway, well, it looks like that is all going to be undone because of this new variant, Omicron. So we're going to take a look at kind of where this is kicked off from and what it is at right now and how many countries have this variant and what the potential impact could be. So let's take a look. So on The Guardian, what is it called? The variant was initially referred to as B11529, but on Friday was designated as a variant of concern by the World Health Organization because of its concerning mutations and because preliminary evidence suggests an increased risk of reinfection with this variant. So it was first identified on Tuesday and highlighted as a concern due to its high number of mutations, which could lead it to evade immunity. It was also linked to a surge in case numbers in the Gauteng province of South Africa, an urban area containing Pretoria, Johannesburg in the past 2 weeks. These two factors put it quickly on the radar of international monitors, with the chief medical advisor to the UK Health and Security Agency describing the variant as the most worrying we've seen. Oh boy. Oh boy. So where did it come from? Although initially linked to Gauteng, the variant did not necessarily originate there. The earliest sample showing the variant was collected in Botswana on 11th of November. Scientists say the unusual constellation of mutations suggests it may have emerged during a chronic infection of an immunocompromised person, such as an untreated HIV/AIDS patient. Literally COVIDs, potentially. Here's the details, the more in-depth details on how it's more transmissible or how it's different to Delta. The variant has more than 30 mutations on a spike protein, the key used by the virus to unlock our body's cells. More than double the number carried by Delta. There it is. So this one has more than double the spike proteins or mutations than Delta, which is what has caused so much havoc across the world for the last few months now. That's caused lockdowns and caused governments to almost basically force their citizens to take vaccines. And we'll get into the efficacy of vaccines in a moment. Such a dramatic change has raised concerns that antibodies from previous infections or vaccinations may no longer be well matched. Purely based on knowing the list of mutations, scientists anticipate that the virus will be more likely to infect or reinfect people who have immunity to earlier variants. So even if you've had COVID before, this one's saying it's going to be worse. You're still going to get it and you're going to be infected or reinfected. It's not yet clear cut, but the emerging picture is worrying. There's been a surge of cases in South Africa from 273 cases on 16th of November to more than 1,200 by the start of this week. So more than 80% of these were from Gauteng province, and preliminary analysis suggests the variant has rapidly become the dominant strain. Will the existing vaccines work against it? Scientists are concerned by the number of mutations and the fact that some of them have already been linked to an ability to evade existing immune protection. These are theoretical predictions, and studies are rapidly being conducted to test how effectively antibodies neutralize the new variant. Real-world data on reinfection rates will also give a clearer indication on the extent of any change in immunity. Scientists do not expect that the variant will be entirely unrecognizable to existing antibodies, just that the current vaccines may give less protection. So a crucial objective remains to increase vaccination rates, including third doses for at-risk groups. They're telling you it's potentially going to be too strong for vaccines to handle, but go get vaccinated. So it's all in the early stages now. It's all in the early stages. So they're saying there's no information on how severe it could be, but it's just more transmissible is what it looks like, because it's double the amount of spike proteins than Delta, which was the most transmissible we've heard about for the last few months now. So this one's double that. And then they're saying, can vaccines be tweaked and how long could that take? Yes, teams behind the vaccines are already working on updating vaccines with the new spike protein. You're saying that these vaccines were being made as they go? Kind of like the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy. Let's make it up as we go. So a lot of preparation for such an update took place when the Beta and Delta variants emerged. Now, how likely is it to spread around the world? So far, the majority of confirmed cases have been in South Africa, with a handful in Botswana and Hong Kong. A further case was detected on Thursday evening in Israel. And now there's also been one in Belgium as it detected a case in someone who traveled to Egypt and Turkey. If there's a transmissibility advantage, the new variant is likely to have already spread undetected to other countries. And if it's in Hong Kong already, I'm just waiting for it to come to Australia, because we know that that's not far off. Everything that has been happening in Australia, we've had Melbourne, which has been the most locked down city in the world under this whole pandemic. But the issue with Australia is our Prime Minister said, Scott Morrison, that the new variant is not of concern, even though we've got these European countries shutting their borders. And also we've got the US restricting travel from South Africa and 7 other nations amid the new COVID variant. So we've got the US shutting down the border, and we've also got a travel emergency as the EU president calls for suspension of all air travel from countries with the new coronavirus variant. So that means wherever this variant is found, people will not be allowed to travel to the EU now. And where has it been found? Well, we just saw in the southern African countries, it's been found in Israel, Belgium, and Hong Kong. So as more places pop up, less and less people are going to be able to travel to the EU, even if they're vaccinated, because they want to help limit the spread. Well, what did we hear? 2 weeks to slow the spread. Well, that was 2 years ago now. So we've got Anthony Fauci, the doctor over there in the US, saying they're learning more and more about it. But even though that we just saw, they said they can tweak the vaccines, and we don't know enough information yet, but it seems like it should be okay. We've also got NBC that says many of the mutations identified in the Omicron variant are linked to increased antibody resistance, which may reduce the effectiveness of vaccines and affect how the virus behaves with regard to inoculation, treatments, and transmissibility. So we've got mixed information going on right now, which is what happened initially in the very first stages of this whole pandemic, when you had the WHO reporting what Chinese authorities told them, saying there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission. But now we're kind of getting mixed messaging with people saying, go get vaccinated even more now because of this new variant. But the variant might be increased to antibody resistance, which could affect the effectiveness of vaccines. So they could make it vaccines redundant. So we will find out in the coming weeks how effective the vaccines are against this new variant, or if this new variant is going to cause countries to reimpose restrictions on us all, and something that people, especially here in Australia, are sick of. And this is why the Australian government is kind of, or at least Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, is kind of downplaying it, saying it's not of a concern, because people in my country for months and months now are really fed up with what's been happening, especially down in Victoria, and even in New South Wales. We've been locked down for at least 4 months straight, and people are being vaccinated and out and about to do stuff. We've got international travel back on. And now as everything is starting to open up now, this comes out. This new variant is really going to have to be something severe and serious for, I think, my government to be entertaining any ideas of what they were doing before. I'm talking lockdowns and everything, and not going back to work and everything. Because they said once we've got that double vaccination rate, we're not going back into lockdown. So this new variant is going to have to be super dangerous for my government, at least, to entertain any ideas of that. But as I said on Twitter, people who are comparing Australia and the US in regards to freedom and this whole quarantining and locking down situation, it's not a fair comparison, because the US has the Declaration of Independence, which says all people should have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that if the government tries to take those things away from you, you should abolish the government. But Australia has the Quarantine Amendment Bill 2002, which states the minister is empowered to take whatever action is necessary to control and eradicate the pandemic by the use of quarantine measures. What's the definition of quarantine? Quarantine is examining, detaining, isolating, and treating vessels, people, plants, and other things in a quarantine measure. So you can examine, so look at if people have this virus. You can detain, isolate them for how long? As long as you want, really. And they've just said 2 weeks right now is the quarantine period. But we have built quarantine facilities in a few different states now. There's some people on YouTube that are in these facilities that are taking videos of their experience in this facility. The government can do these things. This is how it's going to be for a while now, I think, and especially with this new variant. They basically have the ability to do what they want with these powers, these quarantine powers. Even if it is as double transmissive as the Delta variant, hopefully it's not as lethal. Let's put it that way. Hopefully it's not as lethal, and people can still go about their business being vaccinated or whatever you want to do. And hopefully it doesn't warrant governments of the world to reinstitute draconian measures on their citizens, lockdowns for months at a time, when people are basically sick of it and they just want to go out and live their lives. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this one out, and I'll see you in the next one.